Thanks very much indeed, Lasca Hirlik and Minister Hayden. Thank you for coming to discuss this all-important issue today. I'd like to pay tribute to my colleagues, especially led by Senator Siri Carney, in terms of putting together this motion. And I suppose my first thing to do is to welcome all the Ukrainians that have come to our shores, and certainly the many that are going to come to our shores in the near future. And certainly on a daily basis, I know that there's so many people arriving. In terms of the motion, I know that there was huge stress being put in terms of education. I think it's really, really important that continuity happen. And I'd like to pay tribute to the ETBs and the different schools that are bringing people into their schools, certainly because, you know, I mean, some schools are already under pressure, but they're opening their doors, and people have been very generous in terms of financial supports and in terms of donating goods and necessary goods. And I saw even only today one of our own councillors putting up in the community where she is, a number of them have moved into, and that they're looking for supplies of things like toiletries and stuff like that, because people arrived obviously when they left quickly, you know, it was very limited in what they could bring with them. So certainly there is still use for, I suppose, goods. I'd like to pay tribute to places like the Red Cross, who have provided a very valid service, and they're cooperating and coordinating, I suppose, residential supplies. And while I know that we've over 20,000 people pledged at this stage, you know, there will be more needed, certainly you know, as numbers are increasing and the number of people are arriving. I met somebody the other day who actually met, we'll say, some of the refugees as they arrived, and there was an 8-year-old that actually travelled on their own. I mean, that is heartbreaking to see that, you know, an 8-year-old child was actually sent over with others, you know, and that they're here. And I mean, for that child, it must be a very traumatic experience. I know that I've met with many Ukrainians in Limerick that are there, that are bringing in some of their own family members, certainly, and I've been working with them in terms of trying to help them in terms of maybe provision of translation and in terms of the services. I know that another part of our motion was recognising the fact of, we'll say, things like a driving licence. The session of the Ukraine, certainly for Europe, is something that I'd like to lend my support to, certainly. And I think we should, as a country, and while I know we're doing everything collectively within Europe, I think it's something that really needs to be fast-tracked, because certainly, you know, I mean, these people are going through horrific circumstances. We only have to look at our news every evening and see the harrowing, you know, pictures, and certainly the pictures tell their own story. But just, Minister, just to support the motion, and thank you for your time.